What's going on, everyone? Austin John Plays here, and today we're going to be talking about how you can maximize your damage output via using different fuses and the comparison between bone proficiency and attack up in Tears of the Kingdom. Just a quick disclaimer, all of the numbers that you saw on the weapons in the thumbnail, that is how much damage you are doing. However, that will not actually be portrayed on the weapon. That is the calculation of the damage that you are going to be doing. It's just no other way for me to elaborate that in a thumbnail. Let's continue. In Tears of the Kingdom, we have a few different outfits that's going to achieve attack up, and we have potions and elixirs and meals that are going to achieve attack up. However, we only have so many things that allow you to have proficiency. And in Breath of the Wild, we had ancient proficiency and bone proficiency. Well, since they stripped away everything involving the word ancient, now we only have bone proficiency. And in the last game, we typically overlooked bone proficiency because ancient proficiency was leaps and bounds better. However, that has changed. There's going to be two armor sets in the game that are going to give you bone proficiency. That's going to be the Radiant Armor as a set bonus when upgraded to level 2. And then also you're going to be having the Evil Spirit Armor, which each one gives you one level of stealth up. So once you have all three on, you're going to have Disguise for any bone enemies and Bone Weapon Proficiency and Stealth up 3. So not only is this good for blending in with stall enemies, but also gathering resources. That way the stall enemies don't bother you at night. So this video is going to be a lot of math going over exactly how the multipliers are going to be working in this game and how they're going to be stacking in your favor. So I previously made a video on how the multipliers for the Royal Guard's weapons work, and I'm going to be using that as a demonstration in a little bit. But first, let's talk about just simply how this is all going to be achieved. Right here, I have two Royal Claymores. Both of them have durability up on them. Now, if I were to go to my materials and if I were to sort by fuse power, the most powerful fuse so far found in the game is going to be the Silver Lionel Saberhorn at its fuse power of 55. And putting that on a Royal Claymore is going to bring our damage up by 55 points to 69. Nice. Now for bone proficiency, that only used to be for things like Bokoblin arms and Moblin arms in the first game, but now it also works with any weapon that has something bone fused to it. Of which the most powerful item is going to be the Molduga Draw, which is a uncommon drop when you defeat any of the 4 Moldugas in the Gerudo Desert. I also made a video on how you can defeat all 4, get yourself a Medal of Honor, and how to get the other Medals of Honor, and I went over a nice strategy about it there. This idea and these multipliers are going to work with any weapon that is directly a bone. You'll even see in the description a hard jaw bone. Horns are not considered bones in this game. In fact, if I were to go and sort by type, you're going to find that you have all of the horns here, and then you have the one jaw, and then you're going to be finding fangs. Teeth are not considered bones by my health insurance. That's the reason I have to get dental insurance, and I'm not here to argue what is and isn't going to be considered a bone. I know for a fact that the Molduga Jaw is the most powerful bone that there is, that you can fuse to something that has good enough durability. Now, if I were to go ahead and fuse this to this Royal Claymore, I'm adding only 32, which gives me a total of 46. Obviously, 69 is better than 46. If I were to go ahead and put on Barbarian armor or a Fierce Deity armor, or eat a dish that's going to give me attack up 3, that's going to be affecting the damage output of both of these weapons, and it's going to be multiplying them by 1.5. So this Silver Lionel Blade with a power of 69 nice is now going to be a power of 103.5, but that's going to be rounded up to 104. This 46 is going to be multiplied by 1.5 for a total of 69. Once again, nice. Since you're able to get an attack up food, attack up 1, 2, or 3, you're able to utilize that armor slot for something much more important, being the proficiency. So if I go ahead and put the Evil Armor on, that's going to be giving me Bone Weapon Proficiency, which is a very nice multiplier of 1.8. Now, because this Silver Lionel Blade is not a bone, it's not going to be affected by that. However, this Molduga Hammer is going to be affected by that. So that power of 146 is going to be multiplied by 1.8 for a damage output of 82.8 rounded up to 83. So now this is still weaker than the Silver Lionel Blade when you have attack up 3 on. But here's the thing. Now we're free to just go ahead and consume an attack up 3 food. And now, because I have attack up 3 via my food, this 46 is going to be multiplied by 1.8 because of the bone proficiency, which is now 83, and we're going to multiply that by 1.5. Because of this, when this has bone proficiency and attack up 3, the full damage output of these weapons, this silver Lionel blade, is going to be 104, and this Molduga hammer is going to be 125. So now, even though that number is significantly smaller, we're using 2 different multipliers. That's going to make it significantly more powerful. And this game is full of multipliers like this, including anytime that you're going to be hitting an enemy for a critical hit on a particularly weak part of their body, that number is going to be multiplied by 2. Anytime that it's going to be the last hit of a weapon's durability, that's going to be times 2. Anytime that you're going to be getting a sneak strike on an enemy, that's going to be times 8. I mean, on that simple fact alone, this 142 weapon will do 993 damage if you manage to get a sneak strike with attack up and bone proficiency. And if it happens to be the last hit and the weapon is going to break when you do that sneak strike, your damage output is 1988. So there's a lot of multipliers that you can use, but the most common one is going to be this. Bone proficiency mixed with attack up. Now that I'm at the point that I'm easily able to take down a Molduga, I pretty much never wear my Fierce Deity armor anymore. The Evil Spirit armor can't be upgraded, so it's always going to have a defense of 12, but the Radiant armor can be upgraded for better defense, but you lose that stealth up 3. So it's your choice on what you want to do here. Me personally, I sold off my Radiant armor. I don't need that. I'm running with just the Evil Graves armor. But just like the example when talking about the weapons, if we were to go ahead and use, instead of the Molduga jaw, the Gibdo bone. The reason we didn't use the Gibdo bone for the melee weapon is because it has a horrible durability of 1. So the first hit that you hit is going to immediately break it. But the Gibdo bone has a damage of 40. So now this fuse of 40 on top of the 32 brings us to 72. After we multiply hitting all 5 hits, you're going to be at 360 damage. Then once we multiply that you're going to be having the attack up buff, you're going to be at 540 damage. Then, you ready for the kicker? Because we have the bone proficiency, we're going to be taking that 540 and multiplying it by 1.8 to equal 972 damage for all 5 hits hitting. So now for exemplatory purposes, we're going to be heading over to this white Lionel over here. I have Majora's Mask on, so he's not suspicious of me at all. I'm totally not Link, just Majora, he's fine. And I want to get close to him because I want to guarantee that all 5 hits of my Savage Lionel bow arrows looses are going to make contact. So let's go ahead, whip out our bow, change our armor over to the Evil Spirit armor, that way we get the bone proficiency up. I currently have the attack up 3 food on, and once we leave here, I need to drop down just a little bit more to guarantee those headshots. 1, 2, oh yes, look up directly at me, right at the camera. 3, 4, and 5. I think that was only 1 hit of the last one, but it makes sense because we're doing 972 damage per hit. So that 972 times 4 is 3,888 damage. He has 4,000 HP. Therefore, that last one didn't need every single hit to hit. And that is the power of multiplying your different bonuses together. But when it comes to melee weapons, I previously talked about the Royal Guard's Claymore with attack up 10. When it's on its last hit, you're going to be doing 194 damage. Then you're also going to be doing 1.5 damage because of the multiplier from the attack, and you're going to be doing double damage because it's going to be the last hit. The last hit comes from the weapon durability. And as far as the 148 goes, that 148 multiplied by double for being the last hit and about to break, but it's not actually destroyed because the back of the Lionel's head doesn't take durability. Then it's going to be times 1.8 for weapon bone proficiency, and then it's going to be times 1.5 for attack up. But this 148 Molduga hammer, Royal Guard's Claymore plus Molduga jaw, attack up 10, which the only way it's going to get better is if I was in the depths, I found a non-gloom version of the weapon. So I'm at 148, and then it gets multiplied by 2 because it's going to be the last hit of durability, and it should break, but the Lionel doesn't take any durability away. Then it's multiplied by 1.5 because we're doing the attack up. Then it's multiplied by 1.8 for the bone proficiency. So 148 times 2 times 1.5 times 1.8 is 799.2, and this game rounds that up to exactly 800 damage per hit. And with that, that's some of the most powerful damage that you can have in the game. So if I went ahead, landed a single critical hit to the back of this Lionel's head, made sure that I had my Evil Spirit armor on, I don't need a bow, I don't need a shield, and for my weapon, the 148 times 2 times 1.5 times 1.8, 800 damage per hit. We just, oh, okay, for some reason you didn't want to acknowledge that I got a crit on your face? Okay, that's cool, dude. There we go. All right, so he has slightly less health, but still. And my Molduga hammer broke because I thought it was gonna be 6. Nope, it was only 5. And because he has 4,000 health and we were taking away 800 damage per hit, that's gonna be 5 hits guaranteed. Minus, you know, that little bit for the bow. While I was editing this video, I feel like there was something I didn't explain that clearly that I went over in detail before regarding the Royal Guard's weapons. Anytime that it's going to be on the last 3 hits, it does get double damage, and that's explicitly shown here in the number, right? Since I first recorded this video, I went ahead and got myself a pristine version of the Royal Guard's Claymore, which you're going to be seeing right here in my house. Here, perfect. I put them directly next to each other, a Molduga Jaw with a Royal Guard's Claymore, and you see that little sparkle? That means it's going to be a pristine weapon, not affected by gloom. You get those from the depths. I made a whole video explaining that. And right here, I have just a regular Royal Guard's Claymore. Now this weapon is a total of 162 because the Royal Guard's Claymore Pristine is more damage. Now here's the thing. This weapon, anytime that it's going to be on its last 3 hits, is going to be doing double damage, and that's going to be portrayed in the number at the bottom. That's the reason that the Molduga Jaw is now a fuse power of 64, and the Royal Guard's Claymore is a power of 98. Now that also gets multiplied by the on-break multiplier, meaning that if this is going to be the last hit and the weapon is going to break, it's going to do double damage as it shatters. So as you're going to see, it's badly damaged. If I do an attack, 2, 1, and now the next one is gonna break it. Those first 2 hits are gonna be doing that 162 damage, but that third hit is going to be doing double damage. So the 162 is gonna be multiplied by 2 times. So 1, 2, and now whatever I hit with that next hit is going to be 162 times 2 because it's gonna break because of the on break, and then it's also gonna be multiplied by 1.8 because of the bone proficiency, and 1.5 due to the attack up 3. That's gonna go ahead and give us a total damage output of 874.8 for every single hit. And do keep in mind, when you're hitting the back of a Lionel's head, that doesn't take durability, so because of that, it's not going to actually break. Now, you can go to an Octorok and get this thing cleaned up, and then use it as a regular weapon if you want to, go for it. And the very last little thing that I want to talk about is, if you were in a situation that you met this criteria of now your Royal Guard's Claymore that is pristine at 162 damage, you have your bone proficiency of times 1.8, and then you have your attack up 3 for 1.5, and then it's the very last hit before it breaks. And then if you were to perform a sneak strike, which as I mentioned very briefly earlier in the video is times 8 damage, the damage of that attack would be 6,998.4, or rounded to 6,999 damage from one single hit. Granted, you can only do it once because it's about to break. If it wasn't about to break and it was one of the last 2 hits before that, it does 3,499.2, which is rounded to 3,500 damage. And if it was before the Royal Guard's Claymore was in its last bit of durability at all, if it had full durability, then you're looking at 1,749.6, rounded to 1,750 damage, which is an extraordinary amount of damage that you can perform, I think, 21 times, and then it goes down to your last 2 hits, which is the last 3, and then your final hit. So if you get those sneak strikes, you're doing 1,750 damage 21 times. Guys, I hope this video on explaining how the multipliers for damage output is going to work and how you're not just going to focus toward one specific weapon, an all-case weapon that you want to use, but more of an idea on how you want to be using your multipliers. If you have some extra Molduga jaws and other bone type weapons and you're traveling around at night and you have moblin arms, then yes, absolutely throw on your bone proficiency armor, keep some attack up stuff on you, and you're good to go. Guys, if you found this information helpful, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button down below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. Until next time, Austin John out.